Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me from France to Canada. You're in Toronto, right, today?
Exactly, yes.
I'm thrilled because to have you and to do this interview. I've seen your movie, The Conscious Evolution, and I think it's such an awesome initiative. And who you have become and how it's growing, what it's growing into is just phenomenal. And Jessica Shab was just so excited. I had to connect with you and do this interview. So I'm thrilled to be able to broadcast this to as many people online as possible, because these are, I feel, the type of initiatives that are helping with this shift. And as I can see, Franco, on your Skype, because we're doing this interview over Skype, and you have the Skype status, so that I can see that it says assist with the shift. So that's really tell us about your vision and why you came together to put these documentaries together. Is it all about the shift?
That's basically what it's about. I mean, my purpose here on the planet itself was to come back at this specific time to assist with the shift. The connection that we've established was kind of an agreement at the soul level that we've made prior to meeting, and then when the meeting came along, I assisted them to open themselves up and to shift from self to a service, basically. And it basically aligned with their souls, so it was very easy transition for them, even though they had to go through a lot of layers that they had to peel off, and they're still working on that. But our purpose here is basically to shift the consciousness of humanity. But it's not a small shift. Even though that the energy is assisting us to do the shift, and we are going to go through a consciousness shift, but it's a matter of right now we're in a space where we can make massive leap in one state of consciousness to another, meaning one perception of a world and creating a completely different world. And there's a bridge between the two that needs to be achieved. And it's nice, there's a lot of information talking about different things that we can achieve, but what I bring is a complete perspective of what that world is like, because I've been there, and I've been there many, many times, and it is one of our timelines that we are choosing to do so at the soul level. But there's a lot of completions and new openings all being established with this shift coming in. And it's already had started some time ago. We're just going to be hitting this year where we hit another convergence where we actually tip the scale and step right into it. But then there's still a progress after that. So a lot of the things that are in place will have to shift, have to let go of. And it starts with self, by clearing all the programs, belief systems, perceptions, and everything else we've taken on through, of course, the human program, everything that we've been educated through, culture, and so forth. Not that we're not going to have culture or anything of that nature, but we're not going to have a stagnant culture. Not a culture that repeats the past. It is a culture that's expansive and progressive. But at the same time, we're going to look at all the things that no longer serves, and we're going to move forward from there.
I'm really excited to hear, all of you as a team. What were some of the things that had to shift so that you can put this together and bring it out in this big way? Because there's clearly, you've taught them a lot, but there's obviously some real talents and skills there, and they were maybe activated through your presence, but there is really something there. So I'm really interested, you guys, how have you experienced this whole the putting the movie together, and where are you now?
I guess definitely a lot of it is our own individual journeys. I can say myself personally, like prior to meeting with Franco and all that sort of stuff, my life was very different. I always felt that there was things that needed to change, or I could see through certain things within the world, but the amount I've grown, I guess, on a more conscious level between meeting Franco and now is really what prepared us, I guess, to be able to put this message together and be able to do it. And I think a lot of even things that I dealt with in the past that would have maybe hindered my ability to do certain things have been challenged through doing this work. And through doing the work, you've overcome a lot of those challenges, which allows you to put it out, which, that's all part of, the growth aspect of it.
What are some of the things that you had to overcome? Like some examples of things that you were teaching or that you were hearing and that you had to go through that were really challenging?
I can give an example. One big one for me that I played with quite heavily was kind of a fear of receiving, I guess, negative judgment or just any form of, I guess, friction from people who would watch the work that we're doing or anything that we would put out. For me personally, that was something that my entire life I had kind of gotten used to having people support, and I kind of fed my own like self-worth through other people's self-approval. So putting out work that challenges the human mind in a lot of cases was something that was difficult for me because I had a lot of fear of what they could respond with or how that could make me feel. It could make me doubt my own work. And through the work, especially going back from our first documentary into our second and now with our future work, I've had a transition in my own life where it's gone from being afraid to put it out there to suddenly realizing that this is what resonates and this is what I need to do anyway. So whatever comes up, it doesn't have the same bearing as it did in the past. So that's one example that I can say I've gone through for sure.
So what would be your not insight but your recommendation to people that face where you were at? Because it feels to me like a lot of us want to express things, we want to share, we want to live our truth, we want to be ourselves, but we're locked in this personality or format that we were born into. So how did you get out of it? You for yourself and for the world now.
The best thing to do, I found, is to look at how it feels when you lose parts of yourself to try and appease them. Because I did that for a certain period of time, and I've played with that at various points, and that doesn't feel any better. It actually feels a lot worse to give up parts of yourself, parts of what you understand, parts of what you've come to know, just to keep peace or to keep people in support of what you do or what you say. When I took the leap and I started to share what I truly came to understand, I found that their reaction to it shifted because they only played the role of giving me the friction as long as I needed that challenge. The second that I became whole in my message and kind of at the conscious and all the other levels came out and said, I'm going to do this no matter what, their roles changed. They didn't no longer come in and challenge me the way they did before because I didn't need that experience. So I think the best action is just to go forth in what you've come to understand, realizing that that's the only place you're going to find peace, and you'll find that the role that the other people will play is going to change as a result of that.
So we're clearly not at the peak of our evolution, huh?
No.
What would you like to say about that? Where is humanity now? Where do you feel it's at?
You want me to go? Okay. It is basically you can call it a pinnacle of shifting, but it depends. Every you can look at it as a collective, and you can look at it as individual. Individually, we're all at different levels of evolution, or what we can call enlightenment. And there are many souls that have been here, have complete enlightenment, and no longer here. But the souls that have chosen to be here at this time have chosen to be here right at this time because of the intensity of the energy that's supporting them, so they can take huge leaps in shifting. And you'll notice, and I'm sure meeting all the people that you've met, that there are more and more people that are transforming overnight in a sense, because from a state of unconsciousness to the point where they start to see and understand that there's more than their role, their play of whatever they play in their life. And they can actually start to see that whatever's playing out around them no longer has to dictate them, or they can see behind the scenes too, so they have a better understanding of how the mechanics of what we're playing with and how you can go ahead and shift it. So as individually are in multitudes of different levels. As for the planet itself, it is going through a major collective shift. However, it depends on all the souls that are choosing to be part of it, and there are going to be all that are here right now are part of it. They're all playing different roles. Either they play the devil's advocate on which is one side of the polarity, or they're playing the other side of the polarity where they're moving forward, or they're in the middle, which is basically kind of balancing between the two until they can decide if it's going to be part of it or not. Regardless, everybody's serving everyone else, and that's what's really happening right now. So the stage is being set for us to make this huge leap, and it is. And you can see it with all the different people that you've contacted and interviewed, that people are feeling there's things coming up. Now, what's really happening too is because we're in the purge and clear aspect of it, a lot of our emotions, feelings, and stuff, traumas, and even past life issues are coming up to the surface, not to haunt you any, is to run it through you and just purge it through yourself. So you don't no longer need to identify. You don't carry that energy, that consciousness any longer.
Mm.
So that's what's really happening in that regard. So where are we? It's all undetermined yet, because as much as all of this is happening, it's up to each soul how we actually shape our world. And this is why it's so important, the message that goes out, because we're shaping the world and our experience collectively. And we're not only changing the world, we're changing the human experience completely.
Yeah. So it needs to happen. I'm hearing too that it needs to happen in our own life. Like you are a group, you form this team. And so I guess for the team to really go and create bigger documentaries and whatever, however we want to describe it, but you need to all evolve, you know, and there is some, I would love to hear, for example, is it Matthew on the left? Where
Yes.
are you at in your own evolution? Did you feel at any moment like, oh my goodness, I'm not where they are, and you start comparing yourself and you felt out of the team, or how is that dynamic? How did you, where do you feel it?
There have been points of that, yes, but in understanding my own journey and everything, I chose everything that I chose for my experience at this time. So what Franco has done is really assisted me in going beyond all the belief systems and really understanding how to create on this planet that we really don't have any limitations, and that the limitations that we have created is just one big illusion. And that's what we're moving forward into, is into a world where it's an infinite potentiality. And that's really where I've come to, is through playing with certain things and different energies and whatnot. It's just really understanding that this is a playground, and there's really absolutely no limits to what we can experience and create.
So never at a time there was not competition but separation. You really feel within your team the unity and the moving all as one, because I feel like there is Franco the teacher, and then there is the students, and there is, and yet during the movie when we see it, it's just absolutely fascinating the level of maturity and clarity that you three have. You know, of course, Franco, but it's like this. That's really what's like talking to us.
Yeah, I guess we've all kind of approached it just at a very, from an open standpoint. It's always been, you know, we all have our own message to share, and we really don't try and pay attention to levels or where each of us is at or anything. It's just we're all on our own journey, and we all have the same, you know, inside clarity to share, so we just allow that to come through, and coming through from a very neutral standpoint where you're not trying to prove anything, you're not trying to say, you know, here's where I'm at, or here's the clarity I have, and all that sort of stuff. It comes out from the most, I guess, neutral, clearest place, and that's, I guess, what's felt when the viewers watch it, because it's just, you know, there's nothing to prove. It's just, you're just sharing.
You must have received also tremendous support internationally, people coming in. So it's not just even you four now. It's, I guess, for people from all around the world. It's like the Juicy Tour, and it becomes movements, and people really participate and want to be part of it. Hence the quality of what you're broadcasting and sharing, and it has completely amped up because of that, probably, huh?
It's snowballing for sure. More, I find now a lot of things is opening up more as the shift is progressing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing is, too, we're working with the guys. You know, as much as I play an influential role in their life, you know, you can ask them too. I don't give them answers. I let them find the answers within them. I'm very question oriented and guide them through it. And even though if their answer is slightly skewed, I redirect it so that not telling them anything is just basically honing them to find the key answer that's already inside of them. And this is where they discover themselves without having a guru dependency or anything of that nature with anyone. And it's really, and then when the message is coming out, it's authentic. And this is what Mark was saying too, because when you're sharing, you know, it's one thing about, you know, having information, but you need to access the knowing inside of you, where there's no doubt, you know it's just there. It's coming through you, and there was nothing to question. Because the thing is, when somebody knows something, in the sense of they've learned it from somewhere else, and it hasn't ever really sunk in and connected with them, they can be easily challenged. But when it's coming from a solid place, of pure sourceness that's coming through you, there's no swaying one way or another. It's coming through, and that's what the message is. It's not about just telling you how it is. It's how we're going through it and how we're seeing it, we're feeling it, and it's coming from a solid place from inside.
Yeah, I would just to add too, just from like our own experiences, and I'm sure we could all relate. When he shares stuff with us, it's like I've found in my own journey, like maybe like 4 months down the road, I figured I came to a certain clarity on something, and I'm like, you could have told me the answer 4 months ago, but you let me go on that journey so I could experience it for myself. And a lot of times, that's just what it's been. It's like, it's very journey oriented. Go through it, experience it, use your own inner clarity, your own inner guidance, and he can be a great resource for, hey, I'm kind of, this is what I'm feeling, like what's playing out here, what's going on. But yeah, it's been like, okay, this is what it is now, go live your life. It's very journey oriented.
So authenticity, we agree that authenticity and speaking our truth is essential right now. We really need to show up transparent and as we are more than ever and liberate ourselves from old dogmas and thoughts and patterns. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where do we take this conversation from there? I mean, what are you up to next? What's going on right now? What is your present and future?
We got quite a few things on the go. We do have, the first expansion that we did is that since the second documentary, we've got a lot more involved in live events. So we've put on, we focused more on like seminars and some smaller things as well. We've had open discussions. Like right now, we're only oriented out of the city of Toronto, but we're hoping to go beyond that as well very soon. But so we've had interactive experiences where people can come and either listen to Franco speak or just have an open discussion where everyone can share what they've come to understand. And aside from that, we do have one bigger project that we've kind of just initiated, still in the real foundation points, but something that we're all very excited about. And it's kind of the expansion beyond what our first two documentaries planted the seeds for. And it's called the Shift Project. But basically what it is, it's going to outline 5 modules that set the 5 steps, I guess, if you want to call it steps, to get us from the old world, the one that we've been living in for so long, which has been serving and wonderful in its own ways, but to get us to the new world. And part of that is going to show us what that new world can look like and the things that we can all do to make it very practical. Since to this point, it's kind of been a lot of people talking about it, but we want to practically make it available for everyone. So that's our key project that we're working on. And aside from that, we have a couple other things like a potential other documentary, a web series, and stuff like that. So we're definitely busy, that's for sure.
Tell us more about the practical things that we could do. Whoever wants to talk, of course.
Some of the stuff that we're doing is hosting gatherings and meditations where we're just bringing people together, really talking about experiences and sharing clarity and just assisting and allowing people to, through sharing their experiences, just to really go beyond all the stuff, certain challenges that are coming up right now, stuff like that. And the meditations is helping to clear the program beliefs that we have, and it's uploading it to the collective, which is opening up the platform for everyone to be able to step forward into infinite potentiality.
What else can we do in our life? People that are watching, all of us, what can we do in our daily life to shift or to open up further our potential or to start really living this shift fully?
Well, the key at this point is really a serious observation of self, because we have a belief system that we are a combination of what we've experienced and what we've learned through the experience of interaction with others. But it's really observant, because the thing is, we either are authentic self, which is basically our soul expressing itself in its world and playing, or we're running on a software program. And software program is just basically all the different programs, from religious to cultural to upbringing, education, through all other systems that we've exposed. And these you've taken on as specific roles. And then, of course, all that you've interacted, even though you may have observed an experience that you may have had, but you've created an interpretation based on the program, so you've created a story. So it's a matter of looking at all your stories, looking at all the things and question and observe. Why am I responding this way? See, the one thing is, we have a lot of cues, and a lot of cues are basically when we have a reaction or an automatic response, especially if something emotional comes up or some fears come up. you need to look at, why am I even afraid? What's the fear about? And then you need to go and look at the stories that are there. So the key is to observe all the things that are playing out within you. And if somebody says something to you and you automatically respond, or you feel bad, or you feel hurt, or you feel, not loved or something, there's something behind that. Because what you're truly wanting to do now is to take all the definitions. Because as long as you define something, you confine. So the more you define things in your life, the more you make yourself smaller. And you now start to center yourself into a physical form with an ego program. So the thing is, you start looking at this and you start taking them apart. And it's not about a struggle or a fight. I mean, you're learning from the process regardless. However, it's just a matter of observing and letting things go. And at the same time, the material that we're also providing, and what is it, is to go to a next level of clarity where we're not bringing any more dogmas in or belief systems of the past. You're looking at it and you question things. Why does it need to be this way? Because when you really look at it, everything is made up. Nothing is real. Every rule, every law, every belief system that exists, cultural or otherwise, is made up. None of it is real. We're in an experience of pure potentiality. That means you can create and experience anything you choose. But we're also innate. Our natural state is peace. Our natural state is pure love, which we will discover as we start taking more of the layers off, which again are more stories, more self-judgment, and so forth. As you start to observe, you start to remove that, and what you're doing is bringing the core of who you are in there. And at that point, as love, you're one. And at that point, there's no judgment about anything. Everybody's having a beautiful experience, and we're assisting each other to experience a higher level of themselves, self-discovery. And the discovery is really discovering that you are source in a physical body in this specific playground, which is only one facet of playgrounds, over millions and millions of playgrounds out there in different physicality. Okay, and this life is not you. This is just a costume that you've taken on. The body's a vehicle. The mind is only a computer. Of course, the soul is who you truly are. That fragment of source that is having this experience, that's forgotten who you are, to come here to not only remember who you are, is to experience, to learn from it, and to become a grander aspect of self. Because source is expanding, we're expanding. We're not stagnant, we're always expanding. So it's to bring that into it and realize, even the thing, if we're playing with money and so forth, we say, okay, well, we need to redistribute money because of all this corruption and so forth that was playing out. You ask, okay, what is money about? It's a concept. We made it up. It's not even real, but why do we need to have it in the first place? Because our natural state is not about ownership or not about control. Our natural state is fluid, sharing, and playing. Nobody wants to hold on to anything, because as long as you're holding on to something, you're confining yourself and limiting yourself. Because now I got to take care of it and this and that, and this is mine, I have to protect it and all that. The same thing with money. And people talk about, energy exchange and all that stuff. But when you truly understand it, that's made up too. Even in the spiritual world, energy exchange. What's that? Realistically, our natural state is just to share. And we're sharing it with other facets of self, and everything that you provide out is assisting the whole, which is assisting you. So it's not about, we're all one, it's that I'm going to do this to you and you got to do this for me. So these things have just been rules and parts of stuff that we made up to play the game, but we're outgrowing all of that. And that's what the shift is about. It's not about judging that we messed up, because some people say, we messed up and we have the wrong idea of how things really are. If you really look at what is a mistake, it's a misunderstanding, but that misunderstanding set the playground for us to achieve our learning experience. So it served no matter what. So it doesn't matter what darkness or whatever we've played thus far and still playing at this point as we're purging all of this stuff, it has all served us. It gave us extreme polarities to give us the opportunity to really discover who we are. See, the deeper you play in the darkness, the more you see the light that you are. Because at some point, that sheds, because light, even darkness, is not dark. It is just a dimmed version, a densified version of light anyways. So you just discover yourself even more. So even though our programs and everything else has been manipulated from our initial design, but we've agreed at the soul level to take on the challenge. It's like saying, yes, I want to see myself in the most extreme state so that I can discover a higher aspect of myself. So when you are moving from the different levels, you become grander than you would have if your extremes were less. But now we've stayed in the dense states for so long, now we're choosing to move forward, so the shift is occurring for us. So the planet's evolving and we are evolving. Again, individualized, we want to be part of this and play whatever role, that's up to us. But there's no judgment who chooses what or what level anybody is, because at the core essence, we're all the same. We're all pure source, having different experiences and different levels or gradients of enlightenment. But everybody's going to get to the same level. Everybody's going to do whatever they need to do. Now, of course, we're here for a soul agenda, and the soul agenda has a list of things that it wanted to accomplish in each lifetime that it comes in, and it wants to check it off. And we play with other souls to do so. So the fact that we need to judge somebody or something of that nature because somebody acted a certain way, no one can ever do anything to you unless you've agreed to play that role. But what is it about? It's about growth. It's about self-discovery. That's all it's about. So if the soul turns around and says, well, can you do this to me? Because soul to soul, we're communicating. You push my buttons. It's not about, oh, I have to forgive this person because they did such and such. They just served you because you've asked them to serve. So the whole idea, the fact that, someone else can hurt you, or the whole idea that you need to forgive somebody, what is forgiving? It's really letting go of the belief that there's something wrong, because ultimately there's nothing to forgive. Because if somebody did something that you perceive as wrong, that's just a perception. But all they did is served you exactly what you asked for, nothing more. They may not be consciously aware because they have their own characteristics in their playing, but you're doing the same thing to others. There's probably times that you've said something to someone that is out of character. It's like, why did I say that? But when you really look at it, your soul has had a communication with another soul, say, can you push my buttons because you're in this role with me and you will have the best effect right now? Can you do that? And all of a sudden you say something, act something, and they're hurt or they feel something emotionally challenged. It's not about you being that you did something wrong with them. All you did is serve them to assist. We're all assisting each other, and this is what we're doing at this point.
What would you say your role is, Franco?
For myself?
Yeah.
Well, my role is, my basic role that's come on the planet is to bring a certain frequency. Again, I'm a unified soul and fully enlightened, and I came back here to have the human experience to prepare the planet for what it's going through. So my programming that I'm bringing in is a oneness consciousness, and to allow that bridge to be made. So what I share is an absolute clarity so that you are not going to be taking steps going, say for example, you can come out of one box and get caught up in another box, which could be spiritual or otherwise.
True.
And the fact is we are not comfortable here, we're going to go into another box. But then once you start building everything around that box, you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's not me either. So we step out of that and we're looking for another box. The point is, let's get rid of all the boxes, be fluid, and just see the progression that you can make completely. So, I say, okay, we could take a world where we start to, take things apart of our experience and saying, okay, well, I'm not going to hold on to this, I'm not going to hold out, the financial system, the religious systems, and we can stay the governmental systems and all that stuff. We can start dissecting and removing those components and so forth. But are we going to just make baby steps? Or we're in a position right now where we can lay out a plan where you can actually take a huge leap and create a world, which you can call nirvana, or whatever you want to call it, but a world where you have no limitations.
Can we really lay out a plan? Because it seems like it's going way beyond anything that we all could imagine, and at the speed, and things are happening every day that are surprising. Can we really lay out a plan, or the key is to stay in the flow and be present and consciously evolving?
Well, exactly. It's not, the plan, again, is how to discover yourself through it. But the journey itself and how everything will look, of course, we're creating everything moment by moment. Okay, and right now we're creating in such magnitude and such speed. This is why time feels like it's speeded up, because it has, in a sense, because we're having experiences one after the other. And you can go from a limited state of consciousness to a much more expanded state of consciousness in a short period of time, which was not, imaginable at one point. So, yes, all we can do is help you discover yourself, create a connection within yourself, and so even with the modules that we're talking about is really just opening things up so that you can actually start creating as a collective this world. Because everyone already feels it inside of them. They already see this world. They already feel it. They just can't put their hands on it. They can't visualize it yet because it's still, at the mind level, it's still incomprehensible. It's something that they can't put their, it's too far-fetched to create what? A world that basically we have everything that we require. Nobody has to work. Everybody's going to contribute because everybody loves to do something, but it's not. We're creating a world where we all have to have an economy in place. That we all have to go to work and do something so that we can earn something, or that we get caught up in all these rituals. Because if you really look at it, our world, close to 90% of everything that is out there, is absolutely unnecessary and it's just a make-work project. It's just to keep people busy. But once you remove that, then you allow yourself what you gifted, because each soul that comes on the planet, each person that comes into the planet here has something to give, in a sense of serving in a sense for the whole. Mm-hmm. But the program has taken us out and saying, well, I'm here to serve myself. Mm-hmm. And I look at self. But when you're serving self, it becomes much more difficult. Because now you're taking the responsibility. I have to protect myself because everybody wants part of me or wants something from me. And I need to now create my little cocoon. And this is now got to navigate there. And that's why we get caught up in the survival, protection, fear, and so forth. But we can create where you see we're all one. We start to see a world where we're communally sharing, and then we're just supporting one another with no responsibility for one another, because everybody's on their own personal journey, but it's just a free, open experience. So now we create and have everything that we require, because you have to look at a lot of stuff that we want is really just embedded as a marketing idea that we need it. We have to create needs because we have to create an economy of moving things around, because we feel that we need to do that, but we don't. It has served up to this point, but it doesn't need to be there. So this is what what we're talking as a plan. It's not a plan of saying we're going from A to B and what it's going to look like. We're going to create the feasibility to see this part of creation that we can achieve, and how we can take the steps to do it. But we're not telling them what the steps look like. We're just giving them steps on how they can open themselves up to discover it, to create, to really activate their true creative ability. Because as much as we're creative, we're not. Because we're programmed to create a repeated cycle. And anytime we start to go outside of it, which is changing now, we're also automatically judged, automatically compartmentalized, and saying, no, you can't be out of the box. You can't think differently. You can't be this. But in that way, once you're truly free, because we have the technologies, we have the capabilities of not having any struggles that we're dealing with. The fact of, even with the energy and with whatever support, we have the capability. It's all there. And it's just a matter of us breaking free from the idea that we need to have ownership of it and we have to control people because of it, and that, no, we can't. See, we can get rid of the oil industry in a flash. But then, of course, the fear comes in, what happens if it collapses? All the people that are making money off and all the thousands and millions of people that are involved in it. Mm-hmm. But that's because we have a system saying that we all have to have a job. When they talk about, to fix a country, we got to bring everybody back to work. What is that? The whole idea that we need to have an economy. So you look at, when you can step outside of looking at that, then you say, okay, how can we create anything that we create, any system, any service, anything that we do, is it serving? Is it something that benefits, makes life free? free in the sense of play, of creativity, of the opportunity to just have that experience of self-discovery without being caught up. Because if you look at it, anybody who comes on the planet, what do? From the moment they're born, they're already being conditioned. Then they got to go to education so that they can get a good job. Then they have to get a good job and a career, and then they have their family and so forth. They never get to live. They live an idea, but they never self-discover. But more and more people now are starting to question that. Wait a minute, why am I doing this?
So is it a matter of are you possibly advising people to offer their service or their what they do and love doing for free, to just stop their job and live truly their, because your movie, the documentary is for free on the internet. What I'm seeing, what I'm doing is free all over YouTube. So there seems to be a correlation, a little correlation here of just like, wait a minute, let's really do this. We feel this feels right. There is no agenda. There is no have to in the future, and I'm doing this because of that, apart from assisting in the shift. So there is a certain level of authenticity, and it feels sometimes like if we dare to just take this leap of faith and fly out, and possibly, not involve money with it, or not, I shouldn't say not involve money, but just freely do it unconditionally, then there's a whole new level, a whole new opportunities that could involve that money, but the root is not based on that. It's not, the foundations are not financial.
Exactly. The thing is, right now, the system the way it is, you still require money. But now the thing is, it's not about the purpose or the journey about making money or to set up some groundwork in that case. It's a matter of saying, okay, what is money right now? Because the system applies, it's just a tool that we're using while we're in the process of dissolving it. But we're not going to let this tool get in the way of sharing this message that comes from love. The work I do, the work that these guys are doing, and you're doing, it's just coming through love. We're not doing it for money at all. If we were doing it for money, we'd be doing something totally different and be charging and so forth. We don't. We do it with love because we know that why should we have something that's man-made, this whole concept of money, be the root or the guidance point or limitations that's presented for people to get the message out. The key here is to free ourselves, and that's assist to do that. So we do it in a sense, well, in my case, I do consulting and I do also these seminars and so forth, which I get practically nothing out of it. And personally, however, I still rent this apartment and I have expenses to pay, so I let people contribute. But if somebody comes to me and they're saying, I'd like some assistance or whatever I'm offering them, I don't say, well, you need to have money. You can contribute whatever you choose. You're going to get, if you give me $0, you'll get the same service as somebody gives me $100, $2,000, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter to me because there's no importance to it. And this is where we're all stepping into. It's not we're going to put money as our governing factor of what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. Because look at most of the industries, even entrepreneurs, they get in. Why are they getting into a business? Is it because they have something to offer? Now, they're more like that, but most of it is because of self. I need to make money. Why? Because with money, I have a certain stature, I have a certain lifestyle, I have this and I have that, and so forth. But then it's about self, and that creates separation. We're working at taking down the separation. Because once we do that, living for self does not feel whole anymore. And by doing that, we see that by assisting others, you're assisting other aspects of yourself. You're doing it for yourself regardless. Mm-hmm. Because if we change the planet, we change the collective consciousness, we're changing the playground altogether so that we play in a different state altogether. So we benefit regardless. But it's not about us. It's about the whole. It's not about, one cell in your body and saying, well, I'm isolated. That cell makes part of this finger, and this finger makes part of the hand, and the hand makes the arm and the rest of the body. But all of it is all interconnected, so we could see it.
Yeah, this is wonderful conversation. Very, very, very important right now. Do you guys have something else to add to this with what has been said? And that you would like to share, that you feel is particularly from your essence and your soul, and that's your specific message, and you want to add something here?
I would say right now with what we're going through, it's like Franco uses this analogy where the water is rising and all the emotional baggage and the belief systems that we're carrying, it's all within lower densities. So you asked the question of what's happening with the shift right now, or how is it progressing, how are we evolving. It's really like he was saying, of letting go of all of that so that we can open ourselves up. And like he said, take a look at everything. Take a look at everything that we do, everything that limits us, and not have to play with it anymore. And just let it go, and we can create an entirely new world. Sharing with one another, we can unite with one another, and just really create a playground. Just create a beautiful playground. We can play with different colors, we can play with different facets of ourselves, and really, really have no limitations anymore. It's very heavy. It feels very heavy for everybody that's going through this right now. We can see things across the planet. Everybody's intensifying. I walk down the streets and hear people like arguing on cell phones and stuff like that, and it's just everybody's going through challenges right now, and it's really about just taking a look at everything that limits us and that's holding us down, and letting that go and moving forward.
Yeah.
I guess from my personal standpoint, it's like even if I look back to before I started to really change and shift and all that sort of stuff, it may be difficult to hear what is being shared sometimes and be able to see this world that we're talking about, or see that it's a possibility because of everything that we see in our everyday lives that we're barraged with, that we've been conditioned to see. But it's not even just that. It's also just what we think it means to be human, what we think a human's role is on the planet right now. And it's about looking at what it means to be a human and saying, okay, what does it actually mean? Begin to question yourself, what role do we play? And not just being a human, but then look at, I'm a male, I'm a female. What does it mean to be a male, to play that role? What does it mean to be a female? And do those roles even need to be there in that form? Because the soul is gender neutral. But we come in these physicalities to experience whatever it means to be a male, whatever it means to be a female, just in the physicality. But we've created all these belief systems behind both. So those are also kind of roles in itself. So, it's about looking at, first you can start with that as, what have I defined myself as? What have I defined myself as in my gender? But then also, what have I defined myself as a human? And what it means is everybody collectively being humans on the planet, how do we have to play? Because realistically, and I've said this since I was a kid to my mom, I remember saying, it looks like we've just kind of created all this stuff. Like, banks didn't grow out of the ground, and schools grew out of the ground. It was more so like we created all this. I had this idea of money, this idea of everything. So if it was man-made, can we uncreate it and create something new? Mm-hmm. And she said, it's not that easy. But it is. It's just, you need to begin to look at that. You need to begin to ask those questions. And in a sense, it's deprogramming and being open versus inserting a new program of what it needs to look like or what it needs to be.
Do you, I find this conversation very fascinating, and I can't wait to share it online on YouTube everywhere, yay! And I hope it'll be subtitled in many languages, because this is easy to digest and clear and high vibration, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. I had another question and I just, it went out, so it'll come back at another time, and I'm sure we'll meet in person, I hope, in Toronto, right? But you might be touring in Europe this year, and we might meet on the Juicy Living Tour. Who knows?
Who knows?
Why not? Well, I truly enjoyed this. Thank you so much. And a last little thing, tell us how we can assist you. Is there things that we can do to support your project and what you're up to?
There's multiple ways. First off, just by going to our website, www.collective-evolution.com. Off of there, we do have a couple days left on just a fundraising campaign that we're doing to help support the project that we briefly outlined before, as well as the web series, documentary, and stuff like that. All the links are through that. Also, our second documentary is currently in a film festival, an online film festival, the Culture Unplugged Film Festival. So the links for that are also through our website as well. You'll see it on the right-hand bar. Every view that we get assists us in moving up the ranks in that to make our message more out there. and also allows us to move up the ranks to possibly win a little bit of money to help us fund some of the work and some of the equipment that we need to even make the projects that we want to do possible.
Is that the link to spiritual cinema enlightenment or something? No, is that little video on the right hand side? Is that one that goes? I'll post it underneath this video.
Awesome.
On YouTube.
And other than that, just sharing our work. And Franco also has a website, francodenicola.com, so you can get information about him to be shared there. And anything else?
And share the movie, I guess, huh?
Yeah, this anything sharing wise, because I mean, as the message gets out, I mean that's the most important part of it. Is just allowing
all around the world. And you're going to have this translated. You already have it translated.
The second documentary is in 3 languages already at this point. It's English, French, and Spanish, right?
Yeah, we're hoping to put it in a few more. We've had some offers. It's just we're putting it together, so it'll come out there.
Maybe there's some wonderful co-creators out there that are ready to shoot you a little email and ready to contribute and help.
Yeah, there have been. It's been
because it's important. I mean, this is a global conversation. It should be in all languages.
Exactly, and we want to provide more and more tools for people to really take huge steps in their lives and really transform the world. Our whole experience without taking the baby steps. That's, you know, as much as we're going to take the baby steps, but we're not going to stuck anywhere. So we're just going to keep going and moving. And the thing is not to create another box, to create a complete, wide open, pure potentiality, which is our natural state anyway. You know, and our natural state is pure peace and love, and let's play with that. So just really, really going that way. For us, you know, whatever we can do to get the message out, and the message is not about us; it's the message is to assist.
Clearly. Thank you so much, my beautiful co-creators. I send you much love from France, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Awesome. Look forward to it.